Coward. Of course, could be worse. It could be me. Unlike him, I actually stand up to the predators. He always used to come to me, try to get me to manipulate mom into not being a piece of shit and dad into not being a piece of shit. Well, that don't work. Or he'd come to me because he wants mom and dad to give a shit about him enough to buy him a house in Boulder, Colorado. Are you fucking shitting me, Eric? Of course, I still tried because he asked. He's not that bright a fucking feller. He could be. He's definitely got the ability to be an intelligent human being. The problem is that he believes too much of what he's told. Doesn't bother to look it up for himself. With a lot of the predators I gotta deal with, well, they don't have much in common with Wendell McPhee. Wendell McPhee and I, well, I guess we should probably look at the 3 levels of arguing with Sean. There's Wendell McPhee. Wendell McPhee says something that I don't agree with. So, Wendell McPhee looks it up while I'm looking it up, and we make it a race. It's not about who's right between him and I. It's about having the right information. That's a great way to do it. That's 2 people on the same fucking page. But of course, it's got to be something that Wendell's interested in. And Wendell, he does argue some of the other ways, but this one way, this is about the best way to argue with me. We'll both look it up. We're both inquisitive. We both would rather know what the fuck we're talking about than be spitting at our asses a bunch of ignorant horsecock. Here's a second way of arguing with me. This is Jeff Baldridge. Whew. Jeff Baldridge will argue with me, not look it up, only to later concede victory to me. This happened often. However, I was also incorrect over at Jeff's. It wasn't always him being wrong, and it wasn't always me being wrong. There's 2 different situations with that. One of them, let me give you an example. There's a guy named Stretch, David Roop. This guy is on Rihanna Ingersoll's most hated list. And, burr fucking days. It's chilly. It's chilly. David Roop would come over and always try starting a fight with me. Always. No matter what, he just couldn't help himself, which sucks for me. Because I'm over at Jeff Baldridge's, and I know that Jeff Baldridge is always going to take Stretch's side. Not because Stretch is right, but because Stretch won't shut the fuck up. So, of course, I just gotta sit there and take it. Because, of course, Stretch is not going to let anything the fuck go. He's also the local meth dealer and the local pot dealer. He was definitely a much bigger pot dealer when I was in high school, though. I got my pot when I was in high school primarily from Brenda Dickinson. And from Lana Engeline, well, I take that back. I did not get any pot from Lana Engeline while I was in high school. I got it mostly from Brenda Dickinson and David Roop. And even then, it was mostly David Roop because Brenda Dickinson was paranoid of grabbing too much stash at one point in time and getting busted with it. Wanted to make sure if she was going to travel across the border that she only had a misdemeanor's worth with her. Yeah, happens. Or, of course, there's also the second type of scenario with Jeff Baldridge. The one where he and I both have a disagreement, and we'll have it. It's polite, though, but it's still a disagreement, and neither one of us are looking it up. And, well, even if I do look it up, by the time I look it up, he's one of those people who wants to look it up himself. So he'll just squash the argument there, make sure that since it's his garage that the argument is squashed right then and there. And he'll go back in and he'll confer with his computer. He'll look it up. And then at a later date, he'll come back and admit that he was wrong. One example of this, he was talking about the Dead Sea Scrolls. And I had mentioned that the Dead Sea Scrolls had been found in a lot of different places, not just the Dead Sea. And he was explaining, no, they're from the Dead Sea. That's why they call them the Dead Sea Scrolls. But the argument was over whether or not Dead Sea Scrolls were found elsewhere. And his argument was no. And also that they were not called Dead Sea Scrolls if they had been found elsewhere. Well, turns out I was correct. Now, I didn't find out that day that I was correct according to Jeff. I say according to Jeff because I knew I was correct. But he looked it up and he came back and he admitted that I was right. He said, I'm surprised you know more about something in the Bible than I do. Well, that was something that was actually in the Bible, was it? This is something that was in modern day. Yes, sure, it is the texts from the Bible, and even a few that aren't in the Bible. But at the same time, I'm pretty sure that the Bible doesn't have any references to the Dead Sea Scrolls because, well, we didn't know there were Dead Sea Scrolls until a shepherd stepped in a hole. So, that's something to think about. For Jeff, he likes to do the research himself, and he likes to, if he wants to immerse himself in it so he can have a real conversation on it. You know, when he gets into something, he gets really into it as well. And of course, by the time he's looked it up, he's wanting to have a little more in-depth conversation. For me, it's mostly just what I can remember from looking stuff up previously. Alright, I know I have a tobacco pouch here, and I've been searching my pockets, and searching between the seats, and searching on top of stuff. At least I got a soda pop. I do have a sugar addiction. I'll admit that. For sure. I need to find a place for all these cans. I suppose I could turn them in. Now that crazy feller, the one that was screaming all sorts of nutty shit at me over at the First Christian Church and also at the skate park. And where else? Fuck. it don't matter. There's a lady crossing the street over down by that area. So I went to go around the block, and then I realized that I didn't know where my man purse was. So I flipped around real quick to go make sure I didn't leave it next to the vehicle and just drive off with it on there. And turns out my man purse is in here. It's fine. So I went back around on my merry fucking journey, and of course I gotta drive right past that corner where that dude who's fucking crazy is. And there's a lady just staring at me like I'm at the stop sign, and she stops and she stares at me, and she's on the phone and she's just staring. And I thought to myself, man, this feels like the fucking Twilight Zone. There's Twack Job's vehicle literally right behind her. And I'm taking a left-hand turn because I'm only like a block from Otter's vehicle. Of course, I also made a mistake. One of them there mistakes that could cost you, well, maybe not your license, but if you were drunk, it would. I went the wrong way up a one-way street. I'm not real familiar with the streets here enough to know well enough which ones are northbound and which ones are southbound, and the street that I happened to encounter, because the lights aren't working properly, it didn't illuminate the one-way sign. So as I took a left onto the one-way street, and it was a right-hand only turn, I realized it was just a white line in the center of the street, and that the vehicles were facing towards me. Thank goodness they were all parked vehicles, but suffice to say, I made my first immediate left, and I was right back over by Otter's vehicle, so I just took another left, and that took me down by fucking Nutty's vehicle, and, well, it happens. You guys, you don't like the fact that I say things like nutty, do you? You don't like it when I throw the insults that I've endured for years. You don't like it when I use them. Apparently I'm a bad person if I use them. Well, that's kind of the point. When it's okay and when it's not okay is not dependent upon the law. It's dependent upon public opinion. Whether or not a cop is pressured to do his job is dependent upon public opinion. So the news media is real important. They're an important factor in helping bad cops get away. When it comes to a lot of situations, the news will take that person's story and, of course, the cop's story. When it's a homeless person, they just take the cop's side. It doesn't matter what you say, you no longer matter. The cops don't think you matter. The media doesn't think you matter. And right now, we have the Second Amendment disappearing, while we've got Nazism nationwide against the homeless. Why do we do that shit? Why we gotta blame the homeless? You know goddamn well every wannabe fucking Hitler in history is gonna do that shit. Blame the homeless, blame the Jews, blame the blacks. Y'all always forget about the Jews when you start telling us white people about how we got the KKK looking out for us. Are you fucking serious? The KKK doesn't even look out for themselves anymore. They sure as hell ain't gonna look out for me. But you guys, you forget about people of Jewish ancestry. You forget how much hatred is truly there. You forget that not all white people fit the idea of Aryan greatness. When you guys tell us to go to a place for help, what we have to go to for help is racist fucking hate groups. That's it. Nobody gives a fuck about white rights. We're not allowed to care about the rights of white people. The major issue here is that me being white is preventing me from being heard because of this whole white privilege bullshit. But I'm still being victimized over homelessness. And you guys pretend it's okay. When we stand up to our predators, you tell us we wanted, needed, chose, or deserved to be victimized. There's a lot of people that think they want to stand up to me. Well, that's not the brightest thing you've ever done. What would you need to stand up to me for? What have I ever done to you? I'm waiting on it. I'm still waiting. I'm waiting on one of these people to tell me some horrible thing that I fucking did to them. But no matter how long I wait, they never come forward with a single goddamn thing. Well, didn't want to do it, but on the bright side, I got a whole bunch of these here laser flashlights from the Dollar General. No joke. I'll show you in just a minute. Oh, that one's not sticking right. Let me use this one. All right. Right here, we've got the light, LED. And then right here, we've got the laser. Very cool, huh? Now, as I hopefully find my tobacco. Oh, there it is. Got myself some rolling papers. Give me a couple of crackers. But since I went and grabbed some snipes out of the ashtrays, I got one Marlboro. So it won't just taste like that nasty ass gambler tobacco. It'll be gambler tobacco with a little bit of Marlboro. When it comes to saving lives, it's a matter of getting off your ass. It's a matter of not being a bitch. It's about seeing something going down and doing something right then and fucking there about it. Instead of allowing shit like this to happen. Where you've got a human being being denied their rights as an American citizen and as a human being. All over a tag that doesn't mean a goddamn thing. Calling somebody mentally ill is not okay. That is only meant as an insult. Only meant to be condescending and disrespectful. only meant to shut down the victims and to discredit them. The term mentally ill serves no other purpose. And those of you who claim that you are mentally ill are propagating that stupidity as well as making yourself easier to target and victimize. Are you clinically depressed because you're mentally ill, or are you clinically depressed because you lost 2 fucking kids in childbirth? Big difference there, huh? Are you having hallucinations because you're schizophrenic? Or are you having hallucinations because you're on fucking drugs? Be they pharmaceutical or street drugs is arbitrary. As far as mentally ill goes, mentally ill is not a determining factor in jack shit. And it's used to play on, of course, people's fears. Every time there's a school shooting or somebody gets stabbed, it's somebody who's mentally ill, mentally ill, mentally ill. You know, sometimes you got a dude who is stuck with a woman who's obsessed because she'll accuse him of doing shit that he didn't do. He gets sick of it and just fucking carves her to pieces. Yeah, it happens. That's really the world we live in, too. Where women are allowed to victimize men to the point that men literally have to kill somebody to get out of the situation. Tom, he's a fucking dumbass. If he's gonna get out of that situation with Molly, he might have to fucking kill her. When she's telling you that if you leave, she's going to tell people you tried molesting her or tried raping her. That's right. He's 80 years old and she pulled that shit on him. That's fucked up. Of course, if he really did those things, why would she be hanging out with him? It's because she knows I'm trying to turn her fucking dumbass in. And you notice how nice she talks now. Hell, even Otter, or Lewis, pointed out how nicely she talked. And she does. She does. That's what lets you know that she's fucking playing. Am I playing? Well, fuck yes. That's the thing, is that to somebody like that, it's a fucking game. To somebody like that, she's gonna run around to all the back corners and fucking talk shit on you, but she ain't never, ever, ever gonna tell the truth, which is why it's a good thing I recorded it. But between listening to the titties and listening to the actual evidence, which one do people choose? Are them people going to look at the evidence at that church? Is Eileen going to look at it? Yeah, by her own admission, she heard it happening outside. She heard it happening. Would it be surprising to know that I've got at least 3 recordings at that same exact church with that man? And not all of those altercations were with me. He was pulling that bullshit on another dude just a week prior. Y'all ain't too bright. I got a birthday coming up. I will finally be 42. Yeah, all these places wanted to claim I was 42 years old. back when I was 36. So they added 6 years. If they couldn't even get that right, what the fuck makes you think that they got anything else right? Shit, some of those stations couldn't even get my fucking name right. Steven Schwartz. Who the fuck is Steven Schwartz? Not me. And then I got these people telling me that I'm a pervert because of some dude named Sean Michael Schwartz. My middle name is David, motherfucker. David, not Michael. Michael Allen Albert is the name of my little brother. Now, him, on the other hand, yeah, child molester. Not my fault. But I'm not going to pretend it ain't my problem. Child molesters are all of our fucking problem, and most of the time it's your dad. At least that's what we've been sold. We come to find out recently that women are far more likely to be sexual predators. Why wouldn't they? They've learned they can get away with it. Women in the United States know that they have it cush. Super cush. If a man doesn't do what you want, you go cry in a fucking river. And false accusations. And you know the false accusations. He stalked me. He raped me. He beat me. And then there's everyone's go-to. See, he stalked me, he raped me, and he beat me. This is over situations where you know somebody, you've known them for a while, and you didn't get what the fuck you wanted. Natalie only played the first one. Others tried playing the second one. Nobody has accused me of beating on her. Nobody. Natalie did not accuse me of raping or molesting her. But here we are 6 years later. Not one supposed victim coming forward. Not one piece of literature coming from Natalie about me doing any such thing. We've got multiple verified friends of Natalie's who got in contact with me. People who, by the way, first of all, we'll start off with Bobby Forrest. He verified that the things that I was told by Natalie that were in that email, that Alicia Bollinger told him those things almost word for word. We've taught women that it's okay for them to be sexual predators. We've taught them that they don't need any evidence. A claim should be good enough to lock up a man because men have penises and penises are all guilty. And we have to hand that to women. We're expected to hand that to women, or we're horrible people. But look at the cush job they have. You get pulled over for speeding, you just pretend it's a feminine issue, or you flirt with the officer. When you're fucking stalking a dude, and that guy is trying to turn you in, the cops are going out of their way to play fucking stupid. When you are a dangerous stalker, like many of mine are, and you try to turn them in, you get this, oh, well, just ignore it, just ignore it. They pretend it's just on the internet. No, Molly is not on fucking, well, she might have a Facebook account or a YouTube account, but the reality is the victimization is here in this motherfucking town. I was hoping to see Dallas parked here tonight, but no, I don't see him. I better plug in my electronics and turn on my car for a little bit. I got a lot of stalkers. And some of them do so in real life, and some of them do so on the internet. And I don't know if the people who are doing these things in real life are the same assholes who are doing it on the internet. But I know just from that parking lot situation over there with Molly that yes, they very well could be not only in the same vicinity, but literally in the same parking lot as me while they're typing at me. The thing is that all of these Facebook accounts and YouTube accounts that are used to harass me, there's an actual human being at the other side on a keyboard who's typing that. That's right. That fake profile could be a Molly. Could be an Alicia Bollinger. Could be any number of people. I needed someone who I could trust, and I had no one. I should have been able to trust my family, but, well, look at my dad's history. My dad doesn't fess up to shit that he did. On the bright side, I was able to get from the rest of the family information that was important. Information that showed I was telling the truth. Information that showed my dad was fucking hiding like a coward. As always, what do you expect? Sure, he's got the Schwartz family name, but when it comes down to it, well, he's no Schwartz. If he were, he'd follow the family motto, but he doesn't. Now let's get back to the very beginning of the video. Let's get back to the third type of arguing. Third type of arguing is my older brother, Eric Christopher Schwartz. No matter what, he knows best. He knows better than you do all the time, always. He can beat you up, and it's okay, because glory of God and might makes right, and so on and so forth. He's never read the Bible. Little bits and pieces from time to time. I've read it from front to back more times than I've ever bothered to count. When I was a little kid, I'd already read all the Berenstain Bear books and written my name in them. I'd already read all the little golden books that were in the house and wrote my name on the back of the book. Either the last page or the back cover. So then I found my mom's Bible and I read that. And when I got done with that, the thing was so thick, well, I took myself a pencil and I wrote my name on the side of the Bible on the actual binding. The pages part. And so you could flip through and it'd eventually build up till it said my name. It was pretty cool. And I thought I was being inventive by doing it that way until my mom came in and fucking slapped the shit out of me. These people, just like most of the wannabe Christians that I know, they use Jesus as their excuse to do harmful, hurtful, hateful things. Things that they want to do. They say don't speak ill of the dead. Well, you know what? History is important. I'm not going to pretend that Adolf goddamn Hitler was a fucking saint. Just not going to happen. that lesson in history is an important one. Those who do not learn from their history are doomed to repeat it. That's one of them pretty sayings, isn't it? Oh, there they are. That's actually one of the true ones. Another thing, though, is those who do know their history are also doomed to repeat it. When you've got 50,000 uneducated fucking idiots, and you got 10 people who know what's going on, 10 people who can see what's happening right in front of them and have plenty of historical reference, and an understanding enough of human nature to see what's coming, nobody's going to listen to them. History is still going to repeat itself. Safety in numbers. If all of the Aryans decide that they want to rise up and kill everybody who's not Aryan white in the United States, do they have the numbers to do it? Actually, yes, they do. They absolutely do. The Aryan Brotherhood and the KKK both have far smaller populations than the black community alone. Yeah, that's right. How could they possibly eradicate all of the non-blonde-haired and blue-eyed individuals in this country? Well, the fact is they have over a 2%, they accumulate more than 2% of our population in the United States. More than 2%. You only need a 2% population rising up in order to stage an effective coup. Everybody else will follow in line. So you start off by eradicating the people that are incredibly different than you. You tell the people who have just a little bit lighter skin, oh, well, we're not after you guys. We just want to get rid of those guys. So then you get to convince people. Of course, you got to go after the homeless first. Even Adolf Hitler went after the homeless first. Winston Churchill went after the homeless first. Joseph Stalin went after military personnel and the homeless first. And traditionally, then as now, those who were deemed mentally ill were the ones used for medical experimentation. Much of the information that we have about freezing to death came from Nazi scientists in World War II. Lovely day in paradise, is it not? I'm surprised I haven't run out of gas yet. There's a lot of really cool stuff in German history. A lot of that stuff is useful today for guerrilla warfare. Some of the things that the guerrillas in Vietnam, and also many of the guerrillas in South America, the things that they learned, they were able to take from Nazi Germany. At the end of the war, Nazi Germany was basically fighting a guerrilla war. They were having to build things in forests. That's actually pretty popular even today. forest infrastructure. There's quite a bit of things that are happening out in the woods in Ukraine, for certain. A lot of the weapons testing and training that we do have to give people certifications on how to use that kind of stuff. The law, light anti-tank weapon, not too big of a issue teaching somebody how to use it. But when you're talking about surface-to-air rocket launchers, shoulder-mounted, or missile launchers, because some of those do qualify as missiles, you do need a place to do it. You need a place for the people that you're training to stay, to sleep. And sure, they say you can train one of those folks to use one of those in about 10 minutes. Yeah, but you gotta take them to that location. And you also gotta take them back. All of this is logistics. The idea of building the Messerschmitt 262 in Bergkristall and have workers at Gusen 2 building components as well. It didn't work out too good. They didn't get it completely operational by the end of the war, and only a small portion of the aircraft, the Me-262s that flew over Germany during World War II, only a small number came from Bergkristall. I think like 29 of them. It wasn't a very large number. Most of them were built in bits and pieces off in the woods. They'd take a few of the machines and go find some shack off in the woods some old folks lived in, and well, now you're living with 6 soldiers and 11 concentration camp workers. We're gonna try to forget all that, though. That's what we need to do. We need to forget about it. And when it happens in our own backyard, we need to forget about that too. We need to just mind our business. Mind our business. You have any idea how fucking un-American that is? That's the thing. Is that the witch hunters don't think like that. The people who just want someone that they can take their shit out on, someone that they can be mean to or cruel to or to blame for their problems. Meanwhile, there are people to blame for your problems. And a lot of these issues, yes, it is your fault, but not all of them. If somebody punches you in the face, it's not your fault they decided to punch you in the face. There's also a lot of people really pushing to get their heads lopped off. Wanting to fuck with my family, threaten my sister and my niece. That's pushing for the Stegeman treatment. You guys are so fucking violent-minded all the goddamn time. You know, I understand Chris Stegeman's point of view. He thinks, well, if you remove their head, you make a statement. And you certainly do. Imagine if instead of Natalie Bollinger paying Joseph Michael Lopez to fucking kill her, imagine if I had just gone around and chopped the heads off of the people that were threatening me. Imagine if I had just gone and hunted down Tim Beeson and chopped his head off and put it on a fucking pike in his front yard. Gotta ask you, how long do you think this bullshit would have gone on? I can guarantee you 2 things in that scenario. Number one, if I were to remove that son of a bitch's head, as he well deserves, Chris Stegman had a few things to say about that as well. That's right. Chris Stegman is the one who's into severing heads. If I had gone and put Tim Beeston's head on a fucking pike, first of all, I'd be in prison. Second of all, he'd never threaten anybody fucking again. But he just kept doing it. Couldn't stop himself. Wanted to post up pictures of his knives. Well, I tell you what. Since Tim Beeston lives in Colorado and Ted Bollinger lives in Colorado, I gotta worry about both of those two being close enough to harm my sister and my niece. As a result, it's probably a good idea for Alicia Bollinger to do something about the situation. She should probably come forward and tell the truth. She may not care about Tim Beeston, but obviously she cares about the daddy who raped her. That right there, if somebody harmed my little sister or my niece, absolutely Alicia Bollinger would be the first to pay for it. If I was willing to remove heads, I'd have gone to Alicia Bollinger and lopped her head off and put it on her mother's lawn while I was still in Virginia. If I was going to cut off Alicia Bollinger's head, I've had plenty of opportunity. Now, since her death, it wouldn't be that difficult to go find her and lop her head off and put it on somebody's lawn, on a pike. It's always got to be on a pike, huh? Also, I know lots of abandoned houses. It would not be difficult to go find her and lock her in a fucking basement. You know, people got all sorts of great and wonderful fancy ideas, but the fact is, these people are playing on sympathy. They're saying, oh, I'm afraid of him doing this stuff that I have no fucking history of doing. So after Natalie's death, they did their best to try to manufacture one by repeatedly threatening, harassing, and intimidating myself and those who were trying to help me. Now, if these people who are supposedly trying to help me were not telling the truth, that needs to be brought up in court. Because what was said about me was an outright fucking lie. And yes, it was police officers doing it repeatedly. And yes, I have the evidence. I have shown so much evidence on my goddamn YouTube channel that if any one of you fucking useless goddamn pieces of shit wanted to pick a time block, maybe May to June of this year, or June to July of this year, you'd find a lot of crimes committed against me and against others, and a lot of attempts to try to get help, and a lot of bullshit, a whole lot of bullshit out of people like, of course, Ariana, or Chelsea Aiken, or Sarah Bacon, or Nick Bacon. Or Cara Rogers, she's on here too. That's right. How about Tabitha Michelle Cook? She's on here as well. These people all verify that my story is true. And it's on my channel. But they didn't want to come public with that. They thought if they just ignored it long enough, no. I knew this was destined to become a cult classic among these goddamn internet nut jobs from the very start. Natalie Bollinger was high fucking risk. How was I able to Well, with Christine Bouhid, very high risk as well. Not young and pretty anymore. She had her own place, though. And why did she have her own place? She was given housing. Natalie Bollinger had to depend on others still. Like putting out for a place to stay. That's right. Natalie Bollinger was handed every opportunity I never had. There's also the fact that she thought she was in love with me because she was fucking stupid. I don't have it in me to be in love with anybody. Jamie Curtis cured me of that shit. That's because Jamie Curtis is a player. She was so good at playing, she could have 6 men that she was playing at the same time, all in the same fucking house. And none of them would talk to each other about any of the shit that Jamie was saying about each of them. When she finally got busted, that's when she started going out with James. She's like, oh fuck, I fucked up. Guess who busted her? Me! She was playing her fucking head games with Hayden McCall, and I was able to get him to sit down with me on the front porch of her house. After he ditched his girlfriend to go hang out with Jamie because he thought he stood a chance. And I laid it down for him the way that it fucking was. What I did is I had him sit down, and I told him the shit that Jamie was putting me through, the things she was saying to me, the things she was saying about me to me, and the things she was saying about him and Otska and Todd Rust and all these other guys to me. He's like, well, shit. The same thing from here. That's the point where he was done with Jamie's bullshit. He went back to his girlfriend and he later married her. It was a good thing. Yeah, I'm against marriage. But in Hayden McCall's case, God, that was such a fucking slap to Jamie's face. Not a literal slap. But Jamie liked to have control. She liked having other people do it for her. I don't want people to do it for me. And that was the issue in a lot of this. As far as speaking up for me, a lot of people wanted to speak for me, but they weren't speaking up for me. The reason for this is because they didn't know what the fuck was going on. And instead of communicating with me in an effective way, they wanted to take everything in texting as possibly wrong as they fucking could. So, of course, when you've got 30 different people, each one of them wanting your attention, wanting you to type out the whole fucking story in fucking text messaging, Jesus Christ. I make videos so I don't have to fucking do that. You guys don't stop to consider what this is like for me. You don't stop to consider that these people have been threatening me and my family since before Natalie was fucking killed. Nobody was threatening Natalie's fucking family. Certainly nobody was threatening to fucking kill them or fucking assault them. I sure as shit retaliated, though. When you remove violence as an answer, you might find a real answer. I removed violence a long time ago. Over 20 years ago, I removed violence as an answer. And yeah, since then I've been assaulted a lot. And there's even been a few times where I fought back because I had to. But it was because I had to. There's a lot of people that assaulted me. Dustin Mitchell, for example, thought it was okay to assault me. He was bigger than me. Wanted to start a fight over Brian Reinwald's mom and how fat Brian Reinwald was, and I just wasn't having it. Brian Reinwald was my friend. I went to Pine Ridge Job Corps Center with Brian Reinwald. Yeah, I know he was a very large man, and you know what? I heard rumors about his mother being a very large woman. Now, whether or not she was or not, doesn't make it okay to be mean to fucking Brian Reinwald. And I fucking spoke up. Yes, I understood Brian Reinwald wasn't in the room, so it's fine. I should have just let it go because Brian Reinwald wasn't there for Dustin Mitchell being a little bitch and talking shit behind his back. Dustin Mitchell decided that it was okay to shove me into one of the desks. And this is in, of course, Mr. Graves' shop class. That was a lot of fun. That was when Phil McPhee and Mr. Graves, each one of them grabbed me underneath one of my armpits. This is shop class, Chapel, Nebraska. And Dustin Mitchell, he decided he was going to push me into this table, and it pushed right on the wrong fucking nerve. I don't mean emotionally. I mean like it hit a nerve, the edge of the table where it hit my pelvis. There was a fucking nerve between that bone and, of course, that table. That did not feel good. And so I spun him around and got on his back, and well, that didn't work very long because people wanted to help him out. That was fine. Now, when I first grabbed him, I was actually facing him and he was still facing me, but he was already turning around because he thought he was just going to shove me and walk off like it's no big thing. Like I'm going to be his little bitch because I'm half his size and I'm just going to stand there and stare at the back of his fucking head. No. No, 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 no. That was high school, bud. I was a lot more angry in high school and I had a lot more experience fighting. Now, we got to the door, right? And of course, they're trying to pry me off of him. Did an okay job. And Dusty, being as he was trying, he did an okay job with a couple of helpers. But then, of course, I've got Mr. Graves and Phil McPhee holding me to the ground. A couple of helpers. Yeah, Phil McPhee's very large. Lifted weights down at Gary's for years. Yeah, he was not scrawny by any means. Mr. Graves, he's a shop teacher. He's definitely not scrawny, but he's not Phil McPhee strong. But yeah, I got two grown ass men, and they're each holding an arm down. And every time that Dustin Mitchell, he thinks he's going to get a free shot on me because these two people are holding me down. And he comes in to fucking punch me in the head, and I fucking kick him in the face. Comes in again to punch me in the head, and I kick him in the face. He comes in again to punch me in the head, and I fucking kick him in the face. So Mr. Graves and Phil McPhee fucking threw me all the way across the shop. I imagine that I was probably just a few inches off the floor the whole way because, I wasn't touching the ground. And then when I did touch the ground, it wasn't much but a soft slide after that. Almost hit my head on the shop door. Him and Jeremiah Jensen were two of my first bullies. My first day in Chapel, Nebraska, both of them were in Pump and Pantry. My mom had a Mountain Dew cup with a straw sticking out of the top of it. And I took a big old swig. Well, guess what? It wasn't Mountain Dew, it was bleach. So I proceeded to projectile puke across the entire kitchen. Thank goodness it was bleach, right? And then I went to Pump and Pantry to get myself some milk to try to do something. I don't know. It just ended up making me puke more. But I puked up cottage cheese, so that's cool. Anyway, Dustin Mitchell was there and Jeremiah Jensen was there, and they just couldn't stop being assholes. Kind of like Kyle Straska. Kyle Straska, man, he got a big fucking mouth on him. He really does. He thinks everything's fucking funny. Even if it's mean-hearted, he thinks it's funny. And he was always pretty nice, except for his fucking mouth. And he'd get sarcastic at me and fucking give me the same bullshit as everybody else in Nebraska. Why do you stick up for gay people? Because they're people. Why do you stick up for black people? Because they're people. Now, unlike a lot of people there in Chapel, Nebraska, when they'd ask me those questions and then they'd start going off on the N-word or, a bunch of hateful stuff about the LGBT community and trying to blame homosexuals for child molestation and all that. No, that ain't the reality of it. Hello, Wisdom Seeker. Wisdom Seeker is a frequenter on my channel. She usually types a few things and then disappears. I forwarded that message from Natalie Bollinger, the one that she sent me in 2016. Have you seen it yet? Wisdom Seeker was gonna, message me an email, and she did, and so I got kind of a correspondence going. And welcome, of course. Wisdom Seeker type not yet. All right. Well, you should check your emails and send me a message. If it's not there yet, I'll resend it, no problem. I don't know why it wouldn't go through. Well, I do. Have you sent me a friend request on my Facebook, Wisdom Seeker? Because if you do that, I can post it up on my Facebook. All right, Wisdom Seeker, I recommend that. The reason for that is because I'm gonna post up some stuff from my emails, and you're gonna get to see the issue that I'm having with sending and receiving on my emails. This is an issue with having my money taken away, not being able to pay my bills, not being able to get people to understand that there's a time limit on all of this. So if you send me a friend request on Facebook, I'll allow you on, and I'll also be able to send you actual evidence. You'll be able to see it even though my email is having issues. You'll also get to verify the issues that I'm having with my email and why. I didn't have the money. I started paying extra money for those things before I was arrested on bogus charges and sent to prison on bogus charges. By the way, I'm still the only person I know who has been to prison without being convicted. I'm also the only person that I know who has been to prison on just being charged with misdemeanors. In Nebraska, you don't have to be convicted of a crime to go to prison. Your county, if they don't have a jail or they want to pretend that you're too unruly, can have you sent to the prison. And Scott DaCosta had already decided that. That's the thing, is that my predators in law enforcement have repeatedly abused their power to get away with this. I can't keep trying to find internet access so I can send evidence to people who aren't going to look at it, aren't going to help me send it out, because you know what? That just wastes my time and everyone else's. And it allows my predators to get away. There's also people who pretend like they're going to send me money and then they send me these screenshots that are fucking bogus. I'm like, that's not trying to send somebody money. That's pretending you're gonna. And don't get me wrong, I need money, but I need the violence to stop. I need the abuse to stop. That's what needs to happen. Anybody who's gonna tell me they're sorry, don't tell me you're sorry. Help me turn it in. Speak up about how wrong this is. Help me to make phone calls. Make them actually with me instead of telling me to call all these places. You be on the phone with me. That way I've got a witness. That way they're less likely to blow me off. My tablet's almost full. I don't know how to do the USB thing, so basically I can't record much more evidence on that. My other devices are full already too. They've been full. Everything is so full that I've got two external 256 gigabyte USB sticks, which is, they're pretty big and they're pretty expensive. And they're full. And I can't take the stuff that's on them off and put them on my computers because there's no room. There's a guy who might be able to help me repair my computer, but I've got to worry about my basic fucking survival. How am I going to get any of this stuff done when I have problems finding enough food for the day? Now that would be a lot easier if I didn't have to worry about predators here in Tillamook. People like Molly, or that Robert feller, or Tom. I saw Tom at the bus stop the other day, and he said hi real quiet under his breath. And I gave him an acknowledgement in about the same tone. But the thing is, what he did was to make me a target because he was too much of a coward to stand up to her, and then assist her in getting away with targeting me. And that's not okay. Tom was a coward of the first order, just like my older brother. On the bright side, at least I fucking speak up. Somebody has to. Somebody who's not a coward. Based on Tom's example, I wouldn't recommend asking a Vietnam veteran. They're probably cowards. I would ask a World War II veteran, but, well, all the World War II veterans I knew are dead. I guess my grandpa Bruns was in the Marine Corps and fought in Korea. He also raped my mom all through high school, so there's that. Military prisons are the only prisons that have a 75% rate of their prisoners being sex offenders. That's a shit ton. Over 3/4, or 3/4, I guess. 75% would be right at 3/4. That's pretty significant. Now, we've gotten to see on Twitter and YouTube and Facebook and Twitch and all this other shit. We get to see women who, not only when a man won't have sex with them or decides he's done dating her because she's a psycho, not only will they run around saying that man is a pedophile because they want him to be harmed, they want people to hate him and to physically harm him. And that is literally why they do it. Just like literally the reason that a woman will start smacking you and hitting you and punching you in public is to demasculate you, to make you feel like nothing, because she knows you're not allowed to hit her back. She also knows that there's a pretty good chance the cops aren't going to come arrest her. If they do, she can make up a sob story. A lot of guys I know, they don't go anywhere at all. They don't go to the street dances. They don't go to the fireworks show. They don't go to nothing. And do you know why? Because their wife will get liquored up and, of course, start having a fucking control issue in public again. When it comes to a male turning in their victims, that's right, victims. That's the way that you guys look at it. Let's see. Wisdom Seeker, I understand all you have mentioned. I can't stand a damn drunk. Well, that's the thing with me. A lot of these folks mean well, but they're alcoholics. Shannon Alvarado absolutely did mean well. She had ulterior motives. She wanted to find her friend Marnie, and I can understand that. What I don't understand is why she would send me so much about, like situations with the Kara Johnson Miles situation. Why didn't Shannon Alvarado in all that time make even a single effort to help me to turn that in? Why didn't she try to turn that in with me instead of sending it to me, knowing that if I have to turn it in myself, I'm going to get treated like I'm schizophrenic and making it up? It don't make no sense. Now, with police trying to pretend that they can't see the evidence that I'm sending them across the internet, I tried to send it to other people, and I was able to verify with those people that they were able to see it. If the cop couldn't see it, but I was able to forward it from what I sent to the cop and this other person, well, in one of those situations, it was Mandy Hughes. But she needed to speak up about it. She also claimed she'd gone in several times on her own, no evidence of it, but claimed she'd gone in several times of her own and was told that I had to turn it in myself. Well, I am aware, but someone needs to be there with me, or they won't let me get that far. And it needs to be somebody who's fucking informed of the goddamn situation. If they look at evidence, then, of course, they can be more informed of the situation. Mandy Hughes, it was 6 months after I sent her so many packets of fucking evidence. 6 months afterwards, I'm like, so did you try to turn that stuff in? Oh, no, I haven't even been able to take a look at it. All I have is my phone to do this on. Well, that would have been useful information for me to know, first of all. And second of all, that would have been some useful information for you to tell my public pretender. But then again, none of these people actually tried to actually help. None of them actually tried to actually speak up. And of course, that's how these dumb son of a bitches ended up on my YouTube channel. I told them, don't tell me anything you wouldn't tell the cops. And if the cops won't listen, I'm going public with it. When I go public and you and I hide like a coward, it's a lot easier just to post up the conversation that we had and recorded it. It's a lot easier just to do that than it is to not record it, allow it to be just your word versus mine, and of course, when you go fucking coward, I wouldn't have any evidence of it. I like evidence. I just wish it was admissible in court. Turns out only slander is admissible in court. If you slander a man in court, you can prevent him from showing evidence in court. You just got to know the right slander. By the time the cops realized that I was telling the truth about the Bollingers as well as the situation with Natalie, they'd already committed enough felonies that it didn't matter. They didn't care if it would have been fucking Ted goddamn Bundy. If letting Ted Bundy go would cover their asses, they would have done it. Of course, what do you expect out of the fuck nuggets who fucked up the JonBenet Ramsey case? That was Boulder. That's one of the jurisdictions I was victimized in by cops. There's also Haxton, Colorado. I don't know if anything famous happened there other than, well, me. We also get to go through and see how many of the predators that I told on are locked up. There's a lot of them. A wisdom seeker, you should send me a friend request in Facebook after I get done with this video. That way I can at least show you the screenshots from my phone of what's going on. Also, because of the fact that I didn't pay for the accounts because I have no money, I had to pay for accounts so that I would have enough gigabytes so that I could put all of the evidence on there and show it. But then without having assistance, without Megan Missigatis keeping her word, she's the one that convinced me to pay for that shit so that we could turn this stuff in. She was even talking about having some professionals, a dream team to help me out. But nope, that's not what happened. What ended up happening is I ended up getting arrested on false charges and sent to prison, to get beaten repeatedly, to have my rights denied repeatedly, to get made fun of by the guards, to be told that I just needed to call the guards when they walk by my cell, and then they either stop and make fun of me or bully me, or they just walk on by like they didn't hear me. The abuse in that place is rampant and intentional. The intercom systems in the cells are busted intentionally. And it's used as a way for the guards to fuck with you, especially on the specialized nursing floor. Those girls are friends with each other and they're friends with the guards, and making fun of you and picking on you and harassing you. But shit, it's all in a day's work. They want to smile about it and laugh about it, and then they want to pat themselves on the back and tell them it takes a special kind of woman to be a prison nurse. That's right, it takes a fucking piece of shit to be a prison nurse. There was a nurse in the Arapahoe County Jail. She was a black woman, and she quit her job because she didn't like the way that inmates were treated. Well, that's exactly the kind of nurse that you need on that job. There's a lot of cowards that I know. Cowards like Eric Christopher Schwartz, Brian David Schwartz. Let's see, it says message retracted. I suppose I should probably screenshot those before any more of them disappear, just so I can prove I wasn't talking to myself like a wingnut. I don't understand why you erased those, though. I don't understand saying something that you want to hide. See, that's one of the determining factors in me trusting someone. If you're going to say it and then you have to hide it, it probably wasn't true. Never trust an adult who asks you to keep secrets. And that's the general line of thinking. Whether you're intending to be shady or not, that's how it comes across. Also, when people delete their messages, I may be telling the truth, but because it just says message deleted, well, then it's my word versus somebody who I don't even know, who I have no way to contact other than an email address. There's a lot of people who offered to help me and claimed they understood that there was a time limit on it. But in the end, they wanted to waste my time, procrastinate, tell me I needed to be patient. No, 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 no. No, 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 no. When your friend is being abused, if you actually give a shit about them, you help them turn it in right then and there. You go in with them and you fucking stand up for their goddamn rights. Nobody's going to do that for a male, not unless they're fucking. Or if it's family who actually gives a shit, which obviously mine didn't. My little sister, even after being paid between her and her friend, of course, because most of the money went to her, less than $200 went to Ed. She didn't give a shit until she was able to fleece me out of that money. But all she wanted was the money. She didn't bother, literally never bothered to actually look at the evidence. What she wanted to do was fucking wander around aimlessly, fucking around with Ed. Fucking Jesus goddamn Christ. And it don't matter that it's recorded. I gotta try to find a place to plug in so I can show you. Which means I gotta try to find some way to get money. And you know what? I have until the end of the fucking month to make enough money to keep my vehicle so I don't lose all of the fucking evidence. But people want to go out of their way to make this as complicated as possible. If you're not going to make phone calls with me to help turn in the evidence, you're not going to share any of the evidence or speak up, why bother? Why bother with messaging me? So what I'm working hard to do is find somebody who's not full of shit. Somebody who's not going to hide behind a mountain of bullshit. Somebody who isn't going to hide behind their fucking kids rather than tell the truth. If you're going to do anything to help me, you cannot hide it. You cannot hide the fact that you are trying to help me. A lot of these folks, they wanted to tell me things that they weren't telling the public and weren't telling the courts and weren't telling the police. And then they wanted to claim that I slandered them when they found out I made a video where I spoke about it. Well, I'm speaking of something that is already on my YouTube. I'm referencing something that's already on my YouTube channel. What am I referencing? The videos on my YouTube channel that showed that those words came out of their mouth, and therefore I can't be slandering anyone. If you tell me your grandma died as your excuse for not helping me, I can't, my grandma died. Well, am I a liar for saying your grandma died and that's why you're not helping me? Why did you lead me on for so long, Dee Dee Clang, Rebecca Clang, Rachel Clang? That's one of the most disgusting things about people. They may pretend to care, but the reality is their actions are going to show whether they care or not. And if they're lying to you and bullshitting you and pretending for months and months and months and months and months that they want to help you and they're going to help you, and they never do, and then you speak about it openly because it is the truth. Is it the truth that grandma died? I don't fucking know. That's what I was told, though. And then, of course, I'm giving out their personal business. No, I'm not. That's my business. When you tell me that you can't help me because your grandma fucking died, that is my business. After months and months and months of me asking you, please fucking speak up. Look at the evidence and speak up. And of course, you never do. And then you use Granny dying as an excuse to be a piece of shit. You use Granny dying as an excuse to throw me away. Well, why did you fucking lead me on for 7 months that you were gonna fucking help me? And if I'm gonna get fucking treated like I'm fucking schizophrenic for saying your goddamn grandma died, well, you shouldn't have used that as a fucking excuse, and you shouldn't have left me fucking hanging. You shouldn't have lied to me, you shouldn't have manipulated me, and you sure as shit shouldn't have wasted my goddamn time if you never had any intention of actually helping. Now, mind you, if it's been 7 months, and you're pissed off that I said something about your grandma dying, well, here's the thing. It's been 7 months of excuses by that point. At that point, I feel bad because your grandma might have died, but at the same time, I'm also thinking to myself, well, this is probably bullshit. All right. Looks like everything is working fine in this thing. I'm going to end the video because I got to piss. To these people's eternal shame, the things that they said were slander were proven by their own words. Just like Natalie Bollinger. Her own words showed that she slandered me, not the other way around. You guys do everything that you can to victimize innocent people over druggy whores like Natalie Bollinger, Alicia Bollinger, Danica Garner, Rochelle Shelley Campbell, and of course Rose M. Kelly. These are professional druggy whores. But you're gonna victimize me and deny me the right to be heard by claiming I'm on drugs, claiming I must be a druggie. Meanwhile, what is it with all these hospitals and institutions refusing to take a drug test, refusing to allow me the right to take a whiz quiz and know what's in it? Candace Bondurant is the worst friend I've ever had, and she is a sick, disgusting excuse for a human being. And I won't even remove her head. Candace Bondurant, the things that she said that she would do include putting a 45 between their eyes. Equality. You know, Candace didn't want to do it my way, which is to call the cops and turn this shit in with me. She didn't want to try that. So should we try Candace's idea? Should I go try to find a 45 and put a hole between her eyeballs? Should I feed her a head full of lead, like her suggestion was? Should. Oh, I get what I should do. I understand that Lewis, when he'd rather give me a beating stick to beat somebody to death with. Oh, no, you can keep your beating stick. I'm not interested in beating that guy to death. I'm interested in something being done about him before I have to beat him to death. The guy's obviously on serious quantities of drugs. Obviously, he is severely mentally unfucking stable. Obviously. I can't guarantee that if somebody that crazy is putting their nasty cockbeaters on me, I can't guarantee that I won't defend myself. Most of the time, curling up into a ball works pretty good. But when somebody is as fucked up on drugs and as fucked in the head as that guy, that's not the option you want to fucking go for. When somebody is that fucked up, you go for their fingers and try to yank them out of their fucking sockets. You try to twist them backwards. You break everything on that person that you can. Your job is to get away. If you have to crush their foot, that's what you have to do to get away. Be damned with the fucking consequences beyond that. You're being assaulted. For me, I got to look at it a different way than that, though. Because I'm homeless. Also, I've told on the cops in this town, or at least I've tried. They're not likely to do anything to help me in this town. At the same time, I'm the one trying to help clean this fucking shithole up. And I'm not the only one. Anyway, I gotta put my blind up, pee in my pee bucket. Oh, check the internet for some stuff. A lot of y'all, when I'm bitching at you, it's not a matter of you being a bad person or doing any sort of thing that's horrible. But because so many people have done things that are horrible, and it all started off with being friendly the way that you are, yes, I'm leery. I need people to speak up. I need people to look at evidence and verify it. Does that make me a bad person?